Okay, continuing on with our quadratics unit. So at the very beginning, we did graphing quadratics with the x-intercept and y-intercept and vertex. That was the very first time we learned completing the square. The next chapter, we looked at graphing things with the vertex and then over up down chart, and the completing of the square there got a little bit more complicated. The chapter after that, we did solving equations by factoring, but also learning another method by completing the square. Now we're going to solve the exact same equations, maybe some slightly different numbers, but you can see here they're x squared equations. So we're going to keep solving these x squared equations, but we're not going to factor and we're not going to complete the square. Instead, we're going to use a quadratic formula. So this is the third way to solve. So let's take a look at the very first example. If I was trying to factor this, I might be able to do that. 2x and 1x. This would be a 3 and a 1, maybe both negative. And that would be a -6 and a -1, which gets you a -7. So this is factorable, but we're not going to do it that way. You could try completing the square where you take the middle number and you cut that in half, which is -3.5, and divide that by the number in front, and this is going to get really complicated. So that way is too much. This way that we're going to do this, if it's in standard form where it has an ax squared, so it has an a, and then it has a b and a c. If it's got all three of those, it's an x squared equation. So it doesn't have to have all three because some of them could be 0, I guess. Then we can take that a and we can plug that a into a formula. So there's the a. And we can take b and we can use that, I think, twice in the formula. Oh, the a is also down here. Okay. And then c, we can take that and we can plug that into a formula. So we're going to take those numbers, plug it directly in there, and then we're just going to reduce. It's very, very straightforward. So the very first thing I like to do is make sure whenever we are solving, we wanted to make it equal to 0. So it's already equal to 0. I like to write down what I have. So my a is my 2. My b is not 7, it's -7. So you got to include that negative. And my c is a +3. So that's what I have, and I can just plug that into my formula. So -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a, 2 times a. Now this is very interesting. -b, so I'm going to put the negative. Now what is b? b is -7. So I've got -7 plus or minus the square root of -7 squared. Because it's a negative, I'm going to put it in brackets to tell the reader I'm going to square the 7, but I also need to square the fact that it's negative. Minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3. All of that is over 2 times, what is a? A is 2. So let's simplify that a bit. Negative is a positive, so +7 plus or minus the square root. -7 squared is -7 times -7, which is +49. And then I've got a minus 4 times 2 times 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. All over 2 times 2 on the bottom is a 4. So I have 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 minus 24, which is 25. All over 4. And square root of 25. Usually this doesn't happen, but this actually is, square root of 25 is just 5, so that's kind of nice. So I've got two options. I've got 7 plus 5. 7 plus 5 all over the 4. And then I've got the 7, I got the 7 minus 5 all over the 4. So the 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 over 4 is 3. And 7 minus 5 is going to be 2 over the 4. Oh, that's just a half. And that's our answers. X equals 3 and x equals a half. So that worked out pretty nicely. I'm going to leave it at that. And then in the next video, I'll go through the next questions. That took a little bit longer because we're going a little bit slower. what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this formula and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it for me on all of these, so I don't have to write that anymore.